Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the In the North podcast. I'm your host, John Guarna, and as always, I'm joined by Briana Goodchild. Briana, another exciting week of NBL1 North hoops. We've got some superstars with us tonight.
Yeah, that's right. It was so exciting. I'm still recovering, I think, from all the upsets and action that happened over the weekend. But yes, of course, we have our lovely guest with us, Cayla George. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, guys. No worries at all. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. And Josh Wilcher, thank you for joining us as well.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You guys can't get enough of Queensland, can you?
The warmth. It's better than the south, I guess. Yeah.
That's right. We're nice and safe and nice and warm up here. That's for sure.
That's it.
Basketball-wise, though, the NBL1 North has certainly gotten underway. We're going to start off with you, Cayla. We've got a few different questions we want to ask you, and then Josh will come to you shortly after. All right?
All right. Awesome. Well, I know Josh puts a lot of thought into the outfits he wears every week on the podcasts. So I've taken a note out of his book and done the same. Now, Cayla, this is a bit of a theme dress dedicated to you. It's a Rio 2016 Olympic puffer. I think you might have a similar one.
Yes, I do, somewhere in the cupboard. You're rocking it very well. Thank you for that.
You. And I don't know if you remember Cayla Goodchild. She played with you as a development player back in 2017 season where you took out the championship. So
yeah, absolutely.
She's been lovely and donated this one to me for tonight's podcast. So in honor of you and that fun season, here we are.
Awesome. Tell her I say hi.
I will. But yeah, so on that note as well, obvious that you're part of the Opals for this year, the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. So why don't we start off by talking about that and how things are going?
Yeah, awesome. So I guess it was a bit of a long time coming, and obviously being postponed last year was pretty devastating. But, it needed to be, obviously, with the world the way it has been. And it hasn't been easy. I had to set new goals and really refocus on, training without really knowing what I was training for. I think like all athletes, not even just athletes going to the Olympics, it was more just like, what am I training for? When are we playing next? So it was really difficult at times, but to get to a moment, where the team's been announced and the games are actually happening is really exciting. Compared to Rio, there hasn't been a lot of hype because a lot of people didn't believe that it was going ahead. So I had to really keep my blinkers on and my horse blinkers on and really ignore the media a lot. And, there was a few times where it was cancelled in the media, and I'd get phone calls from the media asking me about it. But internally it was always, it's definitely going ahead, so don't freak out. So just staying focused and ready for this moment has been really interesting, but stay really resilient with it. And it hasn't been the same prep as Rio at all. We had like international tours, we had a camp every other month. Like, it was pretty intense before Rio. I think the most I had at home was like 9 days, but in this prep we've had 3 camps and no tours. We do go to Vegas on July 5th for 2 weeks and have some games versus USA and Nigeria, and then from there we go straight over to Tokyo. So very different prep, but I have enjoyed being at home a lot. It's been really great being around my family, my husband and my 3 dogs. So that's been really great. Different, so much time at home, but definitely towards the later part of my career, enjoying that a lot more.
Wow. Yeah, and that's right. That's just really how the tables have turned recently with the pandemic. It's a new thing for athletes that competing in 2021 is so different to how it used to look, just with how the world's working. So I really admire the fact you're saying, focus becomes like an even greater challenge and something you have to be really active and proactive with. So I think that's a good point for everyone to take away.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. And speaking of focus and, goals and everything like that, Cayla, you've had a bit of an epic season so far of the NBL1 North. I mean, there's a few things to boast about. A triple-double this week. So we're talking 15 points, 16 rebounds, 12 assists. And this was against the Rockhampton Cyclones this weekend. And let's not forget, you've already got a couple of double-doubles in the bag from the first couple of rounds. And you're averaging 19.75 points, 6.6 assists, and 17.25 rebounds. So, Cayla, tell us, what are you focusing on? What are your goals for the season? How are you feeling so far?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm enjoying my time. I'm fly in, fly out of Mackay. I'm based in Cairns, so I'm enjoying the team that we have. We've got some WNBL experience in Chelsea Brooks. I'm enjoying that sister-to-sister big partnership there. I've typically in my career loved having a really solid sister. You know, with Susie in Towns, we've got Ezzy in the Boomers, and then in the national team, you know, Liz and I have a pretty good connection as well. So I really do enjoy playing with a confident big, and Chelsea's been really great as well and started off the season quite well, besides her dislocated thumb last week at home, but she played this round and she was fine. So, yeah, honestly, like I just have been using these games as a bit of game preparation for Tokyo. And if I didn't play in these games, my last game would have been the WNBL hub, and then I wouldn't have played until the Olympics. So it was really essential that I had some games. I think I play 8 or 9 games before I leave, and then potentially some finals post-quarantine, you know, hoping that the girls go pretty deep into the finals. So, yeah, honestly, just using these games to stay sharp, stay crisp, get some game fitness in. And, yeah, my goal is never to come out and try and score 70 points. I've never been that type of player. I certainly like to step up when I need to, but my ultimate goal is to make everyone around me better, and to use some of the knowledge that I've learned in my game across the world to, you know, these Mackay young girls, you know, and just really share my experiences in a positive way and help culture in Mackay. They've got a pretty strong culture anyway and a lot of good success in previous years, but they've got a new kind of breed of young girls coming through. So just to, like, you know, share my experience and, you know, use the veteran head that I've got, even though I'm immature sometimes, but that's just more when I'm fun and crazy. But yeah, so like, I mean, I had 12 assists. I really enjoy facilitating. Like I said, I don't need to try and score 70 points a game. It's really not. I actually don't like hogging the ball at all in any level that I play at. So yeah, look, my teammates make it really easy for me. They've really adjusted since playing with me from game one. You know, there was a lot of standing around and waiting for me to do something, but I've been very encouraging with, hey guys, let's keep moving, let's keep cutting, I'll find you. And last game was a perfect example of me finding my teammates that, you know, continue to move. So I really enjoy that. I almost get more of a buzz out of a good assist than a 3-point shot. Actually, that's a lie. But like a shot, maybe like a
2-point shot.
Maybe a 2-point. A 3-point is very exciting. But no, so I get super hyped from assists, and I love the finger point. Like, I'm a big finger pointer. I love, you know, that's great culture in that too. So
the Dikembe? Is it one of these ones or one of those ones?
No, it's never one of these ones. It's always
all right.
Acknowledge my past, I'll acknowledge yours.
I love that. The point. Oh, that's fantastic. And look, yeah, we're seeing that in the games, which is really exciting. And I think super important too for when you do leave for Tokyo. It's great that you're facilitating, building everyone up. So, you know, hopefully team stays strong when you're away, and then you can jump back in for, the final series, all things going
absolutely.
well.
And that's what it's about. Like, I don't want to, you know, drop 70 and then like leave me like, good luck guys. Like I want to instill, like, you know, some of my knowledge and help the girls have confidence. Because I always say, you know, if everyone around you is feeling good about themselves from 1 to 12, you've got a really strong, successful team regardless of result, because everyone's playing good basketball, having fun and learning, and that's what I think is a successful culture.
Fantastic. And on that note as well, one of the questions I've been given to ask you is, what's your advice for young players? And I think you talked about wanting to give it to the young players you're playing with, but just for anyone watching, what's sort of your tips, or how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, I think it's a work in progress, but for me, I wish I had someone when I was younger really guide me and help me with the never letting anyone else determine my self-worth other than myself. There was too many times where I would care about what other people thought, or always tried to, you know, make sure people knew that I deserved to be where I was. And people, like, I didn't know that they were, you know, talking about me. They probably didn't even care, but I was so wound up with making sure I was always proving myself that I probably didn't play as good a basketball as I could have in my 20s, because I was so concerned and wound up in, you know, what people thought of me. And they probably weren't thinking anything. They were probably like, oh, look at that tall girl. Like, and so I was so wound up. And so, and I still played pretty decent basketball. And so I'm not saying that I didn't, but I wonder how much better it could have been if I just, from an earlier age, really grasp that concept of not letting anyone else determine my self-worth. And even still now in my 30s, like, it's still like sometimes it grabs me, but I've just got a quicker bounce back now, and I've just learned over time to really handle that a lot better. Doesn't mean it's easier, to, have those mental moments, but it's certainly my bounce back's a lot quicker.
That's so good. And I mean, that's the challenge of being a pro athlete. Not only do you have to be physically fit and strong, but it's that mental game too, which just has such a big part.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Great advice for everyone to take away. So now we get into our rapid fire questions.
Ooh,
Are you ready? We're going to fire off some quick ones for you. All right. 3, 2, 1. Favorite sports team?
Oh my God, Opals. I don't know.
Good answer. Sports idol?
I love Kathy Freeman, but then basketball-wise, Lauren Jackson and Penny Taylor are my idols, but then I got to play with them with the Opals, so it was kind of full circle.
Dreams. Okay. Favorite pre-game meal?
Right now, ravioli, or it could be gnocchi and garlic bread the night before.
That's that North Queensland thing, isn't it?
Is it? Okay.
Anyone else hungry, or is that just me?
I'm starving right now.
All right. Hardest opponent?
Oh, probably like Liz Cambridge, Sylvia Fowles, and Brittany Griner. That's 3, sorry, but they're massive and they're the best bigs in the world.
Yeah, I think can't argue with that. And lastly, I stole my number 5 question earlier to talk about what makes successful basketball. So what's your dogs' names? All 3 of them.
Okay, so I've got a 9-year-old Coco. She's a husky. I've got a 7-year-old, 6.5-year-old husky Caesar, and I've got a 13-week-old mini Dachshund. That's Havana.
Very, very
cute.
cute.
If you like.
Oh yeah, I reckon dogs on the podcast.
We'd love to see him. Josh, you don't mind the dog, do you?
No, I got
This is little
French
Havana.
Oh, how gorgeous.
How
She's
cute.
just been woken up, so she's like,
Oh, she's such a little baby. You can just see it.
yeah, she was just going crazy outside, so she needs some sleep now.
Oh,
Thank you for
fantastic.
sharing that. That's a special thing, having a brand new puppy in the house.
Yeah, ask all the puppy pads around the house. That's really fun too.
Oh my gosh, and flying around for the game. So
Yeah,
time
she's
for
come with
you.
me to Mackay one time, Havana. My big 2 have stayed here, but she's a great traveller.
oh, that's good. All right,
That's beautiful.
fantastic. Well,
Josh.
without further ado, over to you, John.
Did you have your dogs with you in Rocky, Josh?
No, I don't. I wish. 2 little Frenchies. That'd be a handful over here.
Where are they? Are they back in the UK?
Yeah, they're in England. Yeah.
I know you recently came back from the UK. What was the experience like over there in Europe with all of this COVID madness?
Yeah, I mean, we sort of had a similar situation as everyone, where you just didn't know if the league was going to go ahead, and there was a lot of meetings early on whether it's sustainable, whether there's a point in doing it if it's only going to last half a season, whether. I think because there's such a big drop-off in sort of wages from the top clubs to the bottom clubs, a lot of the bottom clubs didn't know if they could sustain it, So it was just good, I guess, for the league that they were able to get through it and get a full season out with no crowds, especially, which was odd. So I think that game on the weekend for me was the first time I've had a crowd in, I guess, maybe 18 months, So it was sort of a shock to the system again.
Yeah, I know that you had an injury as well. How are you feeling health-wise?
Yeah, it's been a bizarre sort of, I guess, 8 to 10 months for me. I rocked up for pre-season, obviously after the COVID stuff, and we were allowed out. And then I had to get an arthroscope on my ankle, so then I rehabbed that, and that took me a couple of months to come back. And then I think my second game back, I cracked a rib, so then I had that ongoing for probably 6 to 8 weeks, and then. But by then it's sort of the end of the season and you've sort of gone through everything, So we made the playoffs, which was good. But now I feel like I'm sort of fresh, I guess, off the quarantine. I think it's hard not to be fresh off quarantine. But yeah, so I'm raring to go and sort of help the guys now.
Talk a little bit about the quarantine experience for you, because we've heard a lot of mixed things. Some people say it's not too bad. Some people say it's been okay. What was your experience like?
Well, I didn't have a window or a balcony, so I was literally just stuck the whole time. I had a big glass wall, so I could see the outside, obviously. But if I had a window or some sort of fresh air, I don't think it wouldn't have been as bad, But just sort of, it was almost like a tease. You've got this big wall there, you can see outside, but you can't breathe any fresh air at all. So it got to about day 3, I think, and I was just going a bit stir crazy. So I had some days where it was sweet, and other days where I just wanted to claw at the walls.
And what about health-wise? Did you do any exercise or were you able to do anything to keep yourself somewhat fit, I guess, being locked into a hotel room?
Yeah, I mean, I did those sort of home workouts that everyone can YouTube and Google, and fortunately, I had a pretty big space. I think I had probably a bigger room than most people in that complex, which was really lucky. So I was able to sort of stretch out from there. But I guess you can only do so much when you can't go outside. So I sort of did something every day just to keep the mind ticking over more than anything.
Yeah. Let's bring it back to now. And I have a couple of questions I definitely want to ask you. You know, people in basketball in Queensland are very familiar with you after winning some championships up in Townsville. You're now based in Rockhampton, but there was a pace in between when NBL1 was originally going to kick off. You had actually signed with Logan. So can you take us through that process of leaving Townsville, originally signing with Logan, and now ending up in Rocky for 2021?
Yeah, so obviously spent 4 years at Townsville, won 2 championships, had some real good success there. So it was a shame to sort of not be able to work it out to go back. But Mitch Young hit me up sort of early on towards last season before it got cancelled, and we got everything sorted. And I've obviously played against him a lot in the past in my juniors and whatnot. And with Luke Can as well there, it was a really good fit. So that was something I was really looking forward to as well. I think we would have had a really good squad, but obviously everything that happened, you just can't help that. So I talked to them a little bit sort of at the start of my BBL season, but because of the quarantine stuff, it was very hard to sort of find a club that would take a gamble on me almost, just because you didn't even know if you could bring me out into the country.
Yeah.
You know? So I spoke to Wade pretty early on, and he just sort of jumped at it and really wanted me here. So I really appreciated the sort of faith that he put into me, and that really there was no mountain too high for him to cross to get me out here. So we did really well. So I'm happy to be here now.
I'm pretty sure they're pretty happy to have you there as well. I know you suited up for the first time. What was the impression of the group? I mean, you pretty much got off the plane, I believe, and got right into it.
Yeah, well, I got out of lockdown or quarantine at 6:20 a.m. and I was on the flight at 8:30. So I got off the flight, I got my car, and then I went straight from the airport to the stadium to do a shoot around. And I just met everyone there, and then I went home, took a nap, and then rocked up to the game that night. So I didn't really know too many plays or too many of the guys' names. There was a moment where I subbed off in the second quarter, and I subbed on, and they gave me a name of who to sub out. I didn't know who it was, so I just had to sort of call it out and hope that the first came out. So I mean, I've got to train with the guys now, so hopefully we can start picking things up a little bit.
Yeah, you guys have a big road trip this weekend too. We're going to see you on Saturday in the game of the week, taking on the University of Sunshine Coast, Rib City. Definitely looking forward to seeing you down here. Now, Josh, it's your time for rapid fire. Are you ready to go?
Let's do
Sure.
it.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Here we go. So tell us your favorite sports team.
Chicago Bulls or Liverpool. I think Liverpool Football Club would be the top one.
Impressive. Obviously, there's that UK connection. I love it. Who's your sports idol?
I think Scottie Pippen. Since I was younger, I loved him, so I'll go with him still.
Do you have a traditional pregame meal?
Not really. I would say pasta if I had to go for anything, but I'm pretty cruisy when it comes to that.
All right. And who's be your hardest opponent you've ever played against?
Ever played against is tough. I think in the QBL, I guess Chris Cedar probably gives me just because he put 50 on us in the grand final, and we just got over the line. So I feel like every time we play him, he seems to have a fantastic game. So I think QBL wise and NBL1 North wise now, I guess that was my first game against him, and he played really well. So I think he'd be the toughest one that I've come up against.
And now you're at the ultimate rivalry, Rocky and Mackay. So can't wait to see that matchup. One last one for you. What would be a piece of advice you'd give to a younger player wanting to be successful playing professional basketball?
I think just to be a sponge. I think a lot of times now, sort of the younger guys think that they're already ready, you know, and there's nothing wrong with learning off older guys, learning off coaches, just taking in all the advice you can. I know when I was younger, I had a lot of really good veterans that were around the clubs that I was playing for that I could really soak up all their experiences and sort of all the advice that they've got. So I think everyone's going to have their own path. But I think if you're able to be a sponge and just to soak up every little bit of information, good or bad, because then you can what you sort of want to do with it, you know. So I think just be open and honest with yourself and take in everything you can. That'll help you go forward.
That's some awesome advice, and I think you can apply a lot of that not just to basketball, but probably to life in general. So
I was going to say, I'm like taking notes for myself. Be a sponge, suck it in.
That was awesome. You know, we know that you guys are here. It's a late night for you. We know everyone's been working really hard. We appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with us tonight. Josh, we look forward to seeing you this weekend on the game of the week for NBL1 North. And Cayla, hopefully we get to see you before you head off for Tokyo. But if we don't get to see you in person, we'll definitely be cheering on for you over here in Australia. Looking for you guys to bring home a medal.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
Appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Josh Wilcher, Cayla George, all the best. And thanks for joining us tonight, guys.
Thanks. See you later.
Thanks.
What a couple of champions we have there, and we're very lucky to be joined by Cayla George and Josh Wilcher. Josh, like you mentioned, a couple of times has won a championship in Townsville, and you know he was definitely one of the hot recruits of the season. You know, like he told us, Logan wanted to try and bring him back, and I think in certain situations, if there wasn't this COVID instance, he might have gone back to Townsville maybe, or you know who knows, because he really is a difference maker in this competition. And you know, Cayla George, her numbers and her experience speak for herself for sure.
Oh, definitely. And just so exciting to always talk to them and be able to ask a few more of those, you know, personal questions like who's your favorite player and, you know, what's your favorite team? And I love that it wasn't necessarily all basketball either. We had a few other athletes mentioned in that mix too, like Kathy Freeman and Liverpool.
Yeah, that was awesome. And we got puppies. I mean, come on. We couldn't ask for better.
Hang on. Best in the North ever. There was a dash hound on it.
I mean, it's all downhill from here, isn't it, Briana?
Yeah. Downhill as we talk about the top 3 players of the week. Oh,
I know. Well, I mean, listen, we talk about it all the time, and there were some massive performances this weekend. And, you know, we just had Cayla George on, and you mentioned it in the interview with her. Triple-double, 15 points, 16 rebounds, 12 assists, and a really big win over Rockhampton. Mackay at the moment is rolling. They're at 3-1. They're in second place. You know, I know we usually go to the player of the week. If I was going to give my award on the women's side of things, I'd have to give it to Cayla George for the triple-double.
Yeah. I'm definitely joining you there as well. I had her down number 1. And it's also, you know, if we look at her averages as well, that are starting to come through. We've just finished round 3, 19.75 for points per game, 6.6 for assists, and 17.25 for rebounds. I mean, I just can't get over the rebounds. That is so high as an average. Like, you know, the points is impressive, but the rebounds, that's what's really getting me.
And, you know, I thought it was really impressive what she said. She's here to not just to put up numbers, but to help build a culture, help the young players develop and get that experience. And, you know, when you bring in a player of that stature to get that on top of it, not just the numbers, that's just a huge thing. And I think it's a real credit to Cayla as a player and a person also. So very, very impressive numbers. A couple others that really jumped out to me, Briana, was Stephanie Reed from Townsville, 30 points, 6 of 11 from 3. She also had 10 assists in a big win over their rivals, Cairns 92-53. Townsville also undefeated. They're at 3-0. The point differential, they're sitting in 4th place, but they also come down south this week and they have an opportunity to pick up a couple wins and maybe potentially move up a couple rungs on the ladder. The other one was, for me at least, Michaela Roof. Again, you know, we said it when we called the game a couple weeks ago. Michaela Roof is a real difference maker in this competition, and she continues to pile on the stats: 23 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists. A huge win over a Northside team that we saw play Brisbane really tough on Friday night. Logan's undefeated. They're sitting in 1st place. A big part of that is Michaela Roof. And I know we're only supposed to pick 3, but I'm going to slip a 4th one in. It's going to be Meg Essex, who we saw perform amazingly well against Northside. They had a really nice comeback win, the Capitals, and Meg had 26 points and 6 rebounds. And Brisbane at 2-2, they're right in that top 8 at the moment.
Yeah, fantastic. And look, I'm going to echo you. I had down as my number 2 pick, Michaela Roof, back-to-back double-doubles this weekend. I mean, that's so competitive. You know, as you mentioned, that game with the 17 points, 17 rebounds, 23 points, then to back it up with, 16 points, 14 rebounds, and, always getting some assists and steals, blocks even. It's just really rounded games. And if you're looking at overall averages so far, she's averaging 21.75 points per game, 4 assists, and 16.75 rebounds. So again, monster numbers if we're looking at the averages. And then for my number 3, I had Meg Essex. So yeah, it was great to commentate that game in the flesh. And what surprised me about Meg's game was she was really quiet for that first quarter and even first half, but then she lit on fire at the second. So, I sort of went in picking her as one to watch, having seen her game just the night before. And it was great to see her unleash in that second half. So, I want to see a game where she's there from quarter 1 and playing through and see, what points we can rack up. But again, big night, big points, and her averages, 26 points per game, 19.25 points per game, 7.75 rebounds, and she's shooting at about 60% from the field goal. So definitely someone to watch throughout the season for sure.
For sure. And Brisbane is doing pretty well so far. I think they were a little disappointed with their performance against Sunshine Coast Phoenix. So a nice bounce back win for them against Northside Wizards. On the men's side of things, we had a lot of really, really good performances. Again, I think I've got 6 people, but I'm going to give you my top. I'm going to go top 3, but I'm going to just try and get a couple of extra mentions in. If I had to give the Player of the Week award, I'd probably go with Jamal Robitou. He had a huge game in that win over Red City, 29 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 7 steals. Don't worry, we won't mention the turnovers, Jamal, but we'll ignore that number as well. But it was a good bounce back for Sunshine Coast Phoenix. They got a win over Red City at 195. That gives them at 2-2, or moves them to 2-2, I should say, and sitting in 5th place on the ladder. Jamal's been awesome this season to start for Phoenix. Unfortunately, he got to join the Bullets team. He didn't get as much time as he would like, and I think the rest of the NBL1 North competition is going to suffer for that, because he has a point to prove, and he's absolutely dominating here early.
I love that, and I'm thinking the exact same thing. He's like, well, you know what? There will be wrath paid out in this NBL1 North season, and hey, I'm here for it. I'm here to watch. He was also my top pick as well for the men's.
Yeah, and he has been great. There were a lot of other outstanding performances. One of the players that we saw in our game of the week was Jesse Gee. He had 4 fouls. He sat out most of the third quarter. He was pretty quiet, and then he absolutely exploded in the fourth, led Northside to a huge win over Brisbane, finished with 23 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and they beat Brisbane by 17 points. That was a huge win.
Huge win. And hang on, did he even get fouled out?
No, and he didn't. He didn't pick up the fouls.
I remember him getting 5 fouls even. So I was like, I remember we were shocked to see him start that fourth quarter because we all thought, he'll have to just come out in the final bit so to not get fouled out. So kudos to you, Guy. That's an impressive effort, to say the least.
Like you say, not to foul out, but then also to produce and really lead the team to a victory and a huge win in a big upset, I would say. There was a couple others that really stood out to me. Jerron Jamerson, we're familiar with him here in Queensland. He's made the move to Mackay. He's playing great also. He had a tremendous stat line, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists in that win over Rockhampton and our guest, Josh Wilcher. Mackay is at 3-1. They're sitting in 3rd place at the moment. They're playing really, really well. I also got to give a shout out to my guy, Jimmy Mitchell up in Cairns. 22 points, 8 rebounds, a couple of assists in an 88-82 win over Townsville. That evens Cairns' record at 2-2. They sit in 7th place. And I know we're supposed to keep it to 3, but I told you already I'm going to throw a couple others in. And it's 2 players from Red City Roar. Kian Dennis, 34 points, 6 of 11 from 3, also had 5 rebounds, 4 assists. And how about Kobe McDowell-White? 28 points, shot 10 of 12 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3, also had 5 rebounds, 5 assists. We're talking about a kid who's still in high school playing in the NBL1 North and putting up numbers like that. I couldn't be more impressed. I'm so happy that we're getting to see Kobe at his age playing in the competition now with his brother Daryl on that Red City team. Although record-wise they might be struggling, they're one of the more exciting teams to watch. So definitely tune into that group because they can play and they play an exciting kind of basketball.
Yeah, I want to echo those sentiments as well, because that game against the Sunshine Coast Phoenix, it wasn't a win, but it was something to watch. And we saw a lot of players across both teams really rise up and give us something to cheer for. And also the McDowell Whites, the family that keeps on giving, like, love it. Thank you.
Yes.
Keep pushing them through. We've just got basketball talent after basketball talent.
It's
other
it's
sports
kind of like
as well.
it's kind of like the Goodchilds.
Hey, you know it.
That's right.
Excellent. Yeah, well, I also had, I was going to shout out Kian Dennis from Red City Raw, because he had a big game with 34 points, 5 rebounds and 4 assists. So that was something I saw, and I'm like, 34 points to get in the 30s, that's a great effort. So I'm going to definitely shout out that. I guess especially when that doesn't even help you get the win, and that just shows what a monster game it was from both sides, that not even a 34-point game is going to, do it for you, especially when your other teammates are getting up in the high 20s as well. And then the other player that I'm going to shout out in my top 3 is Jeremy Kendall again, with his double-double. So, 15 points, 16 assists, but he also had 8 rebounds and 3 steals. So the man that keeps pulling out the double-doubles, and that was against the Wizards when they played. But it was almost a triple-double as well, because when he played against the Pirates, the Southwest Metro Pirates, he pulled out 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. So I'm really waiting for Jeremy to see that triple-double come through the mix again. So, that's what I'm holding out for.
He's a triple-double threat every time he steps on the court in the NBL1 North competition. I mean, we're really lucky how spoiled we are for choice. I don't understand why they're trying to limit us to 3 players, because we could probably spend the whole podcast shouting people out with some of the performances we get in week in and week out.
Yeah, exactly. And love it. I'm calling myself a basketball spoiled brat. Love it. Fantastic. Okay, but now we're going to talk about some of the talking points of this week that's been. So we've just come out of round 3, and there's word on the vine. Jeff Tarrant is no longer going to coach the Southwest Metro Pirates. So we've got Steve Edwards stepping in as coach. John, tell me, what do you know about this? Spill the beans.
Yeah, it's definitely not rumors. It's the real deal. The Pirates definitely have let Jeff Tarrant go. I think it's a bit of a surprise, to be perfectly honest with you, 2 games into the season. My understanding is it wasn't anything to do with the performance, because the Pirates team certainly has struggled. I think it was just a difference of opinion. We had the Pirates in that first round, and you can kind of tell the body language wasn't really great. The vibe around the group didn't seem great. They didn't really seem like they were responding to Jeff's instructions. Again, I understand that it kind of even deteriorated after round 2, and that's when the conversation was had. And Pirates definitely have let Jeff go. A lot of was made about in round 1. They had Blake Jones, who has started for the Brisbane Bullets play this season in the NBL, and he only played a couple of minutes in round 1. Blake left and has now joined Logan and had a huge game in their win against the Southwest Metro Pirates.
Yeah.
So
I saw that. I saw that it was following.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but Steve Edwards is a solid coach. He's coached in this competition before. He knows that group. I think he'll probably be able to guide them a little bit. I wouldn't say better, but I think he'll be able to develop relationships better with his team than what Jeff had developed in the couple rounds that he had with the group.
Yeah, because on that note as well, I myself have been coached by Steve Edwards back in the day.
Right.
Back in
then.
Spartans Div 1. So I know firsthand he's a great coach, and I think back then I'm pretty sure he was assistant coaching with Penny Bairstow, and I'm pretty sure we did really well that year. We might have even won. I mean, bit foggy now. It was under 16s or whatever it was, but
not that long ago, Briana. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, years.
My 16 was like 30 years ago.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less than yours, but from memory, like I'm good friends with Steve and the whole family. His then wife was also my athletics coach, and I know the kids well because I've trained with them. So really good family, and I think that is the difference with Steve, is he's very level-headed. So I would say almost the complete opposite to someone like Jeff Tarrant, where possibly, Jeff, we discussed when we were commentating that first game that he's got a very different style, really pushing it up, creating that almost frantic energy, where I think we're going to see a completely different game with Steve. It was very methodical almost, very much strategy based, and Steve's very much someone who will observe, take it in, and then give you an option sort of in terms of a modus operandi. So I think we're going to see, a different play, and I think that might benefit the players because it'll be someone who's definitely going to listen a lot as well, but also come in with a very level head. So maybe that's the difference they're chasing.
I think so. They have an interesting group, the Pirates. I think the change was necessary. And I'm glad that they made it. Not glad that they got rid of Jeff, because I like Jeff. I know Jeff for a long time, but I'm glad that they did it early because it gives the players an opportunity to maybe change course after a rough start of the season. So it's surprising for sure, but in a sense, it's a good thing for the group, and it's better to do it now than let it drag on any further.
Exactly. Okay, so other chat. Who do you think's the dark horses in the competition? I mean, we've got a few. In some of the, well, I would say for both, there's some top runners. We've got our top of the ladders. Definitely for women's, we're looking at Spartans and Logan that we're tipping for the grand final. But
for sure,
in both men's and women's, there's some teams we think could probably, cause a few upsets and get into that playoff for the top teams.
I mean, it's a tough call, to be honest with you, because on the women's side of things, I think they are definitely two clear-cut favorites, Southern District Spartans and Logan Thunder. And it's no disrespect to anyone else, but those are the two front runners. And you can see already early on in the season the work that those two teams are doing to establish themselves as the clear-cut favorites. I don't think you have to go too further down to say a dark horse, because they are that much further ahead of the pack already to go. So on the women's side of things, I would probably tip Townsville or Mackay as a quote unquote dark horse. Now, Townsville has a very, very veteran group. Their head coach, Shannon Stiebaum, has had all the success in the world, so he can coach. And they have a great group together. So I don't know if you would consider them a dark horse, but when you have such the two strong teams, I think everyone else would be considered a dark horse or an upset. And the other one I would say also is Mackay. Mackay with Cayla George obviously is a difference maker. It's going to be interesting to see when she does leave how they can perform. I think she wants them to be in as strong as a position as they can be before she goes. So they're trying to get every single win that they can before she leaves. And then it's just going to be how the group can maintain and hopefully get her back in time to make that finals run. But if I was gonna pick one really, really true dark horse, and it's a tough one for me, and I would go with Ipswich. Because
Abby Bishop,
not just Abby Bishop, and we talked a little bit about it when we had the game against Logan, but it's not just her; it's her being in the group that empowers the rest of the group to take that step up. She draws so much attention. She's that talented of a player that she almost just her presence alone improves the skill level of the rest of the group. That would be a true dark horse for me, but I'd probably have to go Townsville or Mackay.
Okay, juicy. I love looking a bit further down the list because Ipswich haven't done so great as of yet, but I know when we were talking to Coach Walmsley, that was what he was bringing up as well, that idea of, again, as you said, it's not about so much her playing as well as how much that will help everyone else play, how much she can be a facilitator as well. So that's definitely good. Another one I'm sort of pulling out of a dark horse, which is a little bit further down than our up north teams. I reckon we've got to watch out for Gold Coast. When I chatted on the podcast last week with Lauren Mansfield, I mean, she's a really great experienced player, pulling out some big points. And Gold Coast have only played 2 games so far, so we haven't really seen them get into the thick of it yet. And they've got 2 wins in the bag. So I'm really excited to see them play this week and what comes out. I mean, we've got Lauren Mansfield from the first 2 rounds just averaging 23 points, 7 assists, 5.55 rebounds. So that's pretty good. I know she's talking about getting the whole team involved. They're really focusing, with Jackie Brown is like getting that team atmosphere going. So They're my tip for the black horse. Is that what you call it? Yeah.
Dark horse, yeah. I
Dark
think
horse.
I wouldn't say I forgot about Gold Coast because it to me, I don't know how much, in my opinion, that it would be. They made it to a grand final series last season as well, so they're a great team, a great group. I was trying to nail one of a team that could potentially get in there. There are quite a few though. I named three. I can't follow instructions. Obviously, something's wrong with me tonight.
John, can you just listen?
I'm trying my best. I mean,
No.
on the men's side of things, though, it's a real toss up. I think at the moment Logan is undefeated. They're at 4-0. The Brisbane Capitals are just behind them. Gold Coast is in there. Mackay, Townsville, there are so many strong teams.
Yeah.
For me, Logan is a favorite, certainly, because of who they have. They could potentially get Sean Bruce in the group, and that would just take them to just another level. A lot of it is going to depend on the men's side of things, how many games you get from these NBL players, though.
Yeah.
Gold Coast is a very solid group, but they're an even better group if they bring in Jason Kadee and Anthony Drimick. Those guys would potentially join Logan and some of the other teams as favorites. If I had to pick a dark horse based off of the ladder now, where we sit at this very moment, heading into round 4, there's two teams that stand out to me. Cairns Marlins is one of them because every year they're going to get guys from the Cairns Taipans, and the Taipans have some really great young development kind of fringe guys who have seen a lot of big minutes, but may need a little further development in the NBL1 North competition. And I like the Cairns group that they have already now. So who they add from the Taipans will make a huge difference. And we've seen it in the past where those Taipans players have propelled the Marlins to a grand final and then, also winning championships. So you can never count those guys out. And then the other one that I'm going to mention at the moment, we're actually going to see them on the weekend in our game of the week, is the University of Sunshine Coast Rip City. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but they're at the bottom of the ladder at the moment. They're 0-2, and it's a really surprising 0-2 because I think they have a lot of talent. I love Izzy Tueta. Eric McAllister is a really good player. They're going to bring in Fabian Krislovich, and I think they have a much stronger group than what they've shown already. They're not out of it. We're only into round 4, but they're 0-2. They need to start picking up some wins. And they have a tough game in the game of the week against Rockhampton, who is really just above them. Both of those teams fighting for their first win of the season, but I'm going to look at Rip City as another dark horse because at the moment they're struggling.
Hey, I like it. Well, I'm going to try and be original and not just copy you. So dark horses I'm picking from further down the ladder. Look, Northside Wizards and Ipswich Force, because I know there's talk of not just one, but a couple potential NBL players joining the mix. So they're teams I'm thinking we could watch out for them, because I think Ipswich, there's talk of Hodgson, maybe Sobey if they can get them across. Is that?
Well, they are both signed by Ipswich. It's just going to be whether they get to join the group and how long they're going to play because of the extended NBL season.
But I'm a big Bullets fan, and they're two of my favorite players. So I'm like, that's going to be a team that could. And when they did play Logan the other day, we did see some really good stuff come out and some players fire up. So add these two hotshots to the mix, and it's going to be a pretty strong and tall side, I think.
Definitely.
And then
definitely.
Yeah, and then the Northside Wizards, I was really impressed with the round they had this weekend. They weren't able to follow up on their upset against Brisbane against Logan. But the game they had against Brisbane was a really great example of a team gelling, of them coming together, good coaching as well from Nick Roberts. So I think add a couple of NBL players to the mix of that too, and that could be dangerous.
Oh, for sure. We're talking about Mitch McCarron, who's definitely signed with the group. Again, if he comes, he's a difference maker in this competition. He's the leader of the team that's sitting on the top of the NBL ladder. He's in that Boomers squad, so he could even go to the Olympics. We may not. I hope for him because I love Mitch. I hope for him that he gets in the team and goes to Japan. But selfishly, I don't want him to, so we can see him in the NBL1 North. And then, we are hearing rumors that they're looking at another NBL player. So, that group was really impressive against Brisbane, a young group that Nick Roberts has really done a great job with to start the season. And you had McCarron and potentially another NBL guy. And the sky's the limit for that team for sure.
Exactly. And it was funny. Coach Roberts was so coy about who this potential mystery other player could be. We couldn't quite squeeze it out of him. So we'll get to work and see if there's more we can do about that.
Put that detective hat on for sure.
All right. And moving on, there's obviously a few teams that have stepped up to the NBL1 North. And so examples of them are Red City and Northside. So what do we think about these players and the games they've had so far, John?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Northside, and I think both on the men's and women's side, I think they've really adjusted really well. We saw Northside, unfortunately, didn't get the win in the women's game, but on the men's side of things, had the great win over the Capitals. They had a really tough win against Sunshine Coast Phoenix as well the week before. So I think, if we were going to compare the two, I think at least initially at this point in time, Northside's definitely probably has adjusted a little bit better. Red City, though, I think it is somewhat of a new group with some young guys. Like we said earlier, Kobe McDowell-White joining his brother Daryl. You got Kean Dennis and a few other guys from the QSL group that they had that made it to the grand final series last year. So I think Red City is certainly one of the more exciting teams. And for them, it's going to be about how they can defend and get stops, because I don't think you're going to, they're going to be able to score with the talent that they have. And on the women's side of things, I think, Northside, it's going to take them a little while to adjust, bringing Tiana Mangakahia into the group and everyone kind of finding their way. And Red City, their women's group is a really young, inexperienced group. So they are definitely struggling, but they're hoping to build a nice solid base, pick up hopefully a couple wins throughout the year, and then really try and keep that group together to build on top of for years to come.
Exactly. For the women's, it really is baptism by fire, I think, for all those players. So,
for sure.
It's something where going in a bit green, but hopefully that flame grilling will just get them a little bit charcoal roasted for the end of the season. We'll see some good plays and hopefully an upset or two come out of the mix in that back half.
For sure. But it's a big adjustment, and I think it's a credit to those associations for giving those groups the opportunity to do it. It's a big commitment, and they're going to take their lumps occasionally, just like everyone does. But it makes you better in the long run. So good on the associations for putting them forward.
Exactly, and giving us more games to watch and more variety.
Well, that's right. That's right. We always want more.
Exactly. All live and free at nbl1.com.au and on the NBL app. Okay, right. Joel, is it time to launch into our final bit where we tip?
It is, and I'm a little nervous about this because I got a little overconfident after round 2, and I don't think I had a great round 3. So hopefully we'll do a little bit better. Let's kick things off, and we'll go through these pretty rapidly. Briana, we'll kick off on Friday night. Townsville coming down to Logan to take on the Thunder. I'm tipping Logan in both of these games. How about you?
Me also. I mean, you've got to take on the Roof Monster. And, Jeremy Kendall shut him down alongside Mitch Young. So I'm backing both Logan.
Yeah, I think that women's game is going to be both games are going to be great. I'm excited to see what Logan and Townsville can produce. Also on Friday night, we've got Cairns taking on Rockhampton. Again, this time I was kind of torn. I'm splitting it, though. In the women's, I'm going Rockhampton. In the men, I'm going Cairns.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, I think, for the women's, neither team has secured a win. So it is a little bit of a battle of anyone's luck. I'm going Cairns for both, though.
All right. I like that. Well done. Let's move on to Saturday. Saturday, you got Brisbane taking on Southwest. Games played in Auchenflower. I'm going to go, and I know I'm going to get stick for this, but in the women, I'm taping Southwest, and the men, I'm going Brisbane.
Okay. All right, not upsetting Ben Volkman again this time.
No. I told Ben, I'm tipping Brisbane from now on. It's up to them to prove me right.
Yeah, because the one time you did tip them this week, that didn't come through.
Come on.
And Ben. All right. Excellent. Well, for me, look, I'm going to go Brisbane for both, but I like that you're going Southwest. Is that the Amanda Johnson show coming out and all the other players having now warmed up and got some good points?
Well, I think so. I think on the women's side of things, Southwest has had a really tough run. I think they match up pretty well with Brisbane. It's going to be interesting to see how they defend the Brisbane guards. But I think Southwest has a size advantage in Amanda Johnson, as well as a couple other players. So I'm trying to keep it fresh.
I like it. I'm excited to see how that goes. You got me excited for that game. All right, next.
Next up, we have Ipswich hosting Townsville. Again, Townsville down here doing a trip through Southeast Queensland. It doesn't get too much more difficult, to be honest with you, when you play a triple header 3 nights in a row, as Townsville and Rockhampton are doing. In Ipswich, though, I don't think we're going to see Abby Bishop, so I have to go Townsville in the women's, and I think Townsville in the men also. I know I got a lot of mates out at Ipswich as well. I know they're looking for a win, but I just have a feeling Townsville is going to look to bounce back after that Logan game in the men's.
Yeah, I'm gonna back you in that one. Go the Bill, love the Bill, and back them for both games. And I also think, coming off Townsville having lost to Cairns when they probably should have won, they're going to be hungry for a win this week. So I think they're going to be pretty hard to beat in the men's side of things as well.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what we come up with when we get to Sunday in the triple headers. The next one, though, finishing up things on Saturday, is Rockhampton again. That'll be the game of the week, the NBL1 North game of the week. Myself and Briana will be on the call. I can't wait to get up to the sunny coast to see Rip City take on Rockhampton. I'm splitting the difference here as well. I'm going to go Rockhampton women, and I'm going to actually go University of Sunshine Coast, Rip City men. I tipped them as one of my dark horses, so I got to back that up with tipping them to win, don't I?
I think you do, got to follow through on your words. But this is an interesting one, John, because I'm going to do the inverse of you. So I'm going to back for the women's Rip City, and I'm going to back for the men's Rocky. So, hey. That'll be an interesting round.
I thought we were partners here, Briana. What's going on?
No, screw you, John. Screw you.
The competition brings out the worst in you, doesn't it, Briana? Jeez.
No. But anyway, this will make for interesting commentating in the game of the week. I mean, we'll have rivalry on the court and rivalry on the commentating bench.
I like it. Now, good. Well done. I agree. I'm with you on that one for sure. Heading into the last day of the round Sunday, Townsville, like we said, playing 3 games in 3 days. They take on Gold Coast, and I mean, this for me is mostly playing that 3rd game in a row after having traveled down on Friday, play on Friday, play again on Saturday, and then Sunday you tip off at 12 o'clock. I'm tipping Gold Coast in both of those. I think Townsville, and it's not necessarily, like I said, they make us make predictions, but I just think it's just a tremendous ask of a group to travel from Townsville, travel around Southeast Queensland, play 3 games in a row. So I'm tipping Gold Coast to win both the women and the men.
Yeah, gosh, I've got to agree with you there that it's such a big ask. But I feel like, and I did tip Gold Coast women's as one to watch. So I think you might be onto something. But look, just for the sake of keeping it interesting, I'm going to try and back the bill for both. So
all right. Well, we have it on record, that's for sure.
The other team, will I eat my words?
The other team playing 3 games in 3 days is Rockhampton. They're going to be on the Sunshine Coast to take on the Phoenix on Sunday. And again, very similar for me. I'm tipping Sunshine Coast in both. 3 games in 3 days is not an easy one. And on Friday night, Rockhampton is in Cairns. They're in Cairns. Then they got to come down to the Sunshine Coast to play 2 games after traveling. Again, I think it's just a really tough ask.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. I saw that and thought, Phoenix, I think we're going to see them light it up.
Yeah. Well, wrapping our tips up is the last game on Sunday at 1 o'clock and 3 p.m. Southern Districts hosting Northside, I should say. And then for that, I got a split. I got Spartans in the women, and I got Northside in the men.
Oh, going the same as well. Spartans women, Northside men's. Yeah, because I think when you see that men's team play like they did last week, I mean, if we can see that men's team play like they did in the last round against Brisbane, then they're going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I like the Spartans group. I think that's going to be a great game. I think it's a toss-up, but I have to pick one, right?
Yeah, that's it. Our arms are twisted.
I can't do it. I can't pick a tie, can I?
No, you can't.
All right.
That's weak, is what that is.
No, we don't do weak stuff in the North podcast.
No, nothing but strong vibes.
I'm glad one of the two of us can flex because it ain't me.
Oh, rubbish, John. All right. Well, just like that, predictions are in. We've got a big week coming up. You can obviously watch it all live and free with the Game of the Week's multi-camera views being broadcast as well. It's all on nbl1.com.au. It's on the NBL app. This podcast, there's plenty more episodes where this came from. So just keep listening on Spotify and watching on YouTube. John, it's been real.
It always is real, Briana. I can't wait to get up to the Sunshine Coast and get to that game as Rip City takes on Rockhampton. Another exciting one. And this has been a lot of fun. I got to thank Josh Wilcher and Cayla George for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Briana, too. And we'll see everyone again for the In the North podcast next week. But don't forget to tune in on Saturday for the Game of the Week.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. I'll see you later.